welcome back for another 50 States of Food cooking video. This is a collaborative effort I'm doing with Heather from the Pixel Gamer Girl channel, where we are slowly cooking our way through all 50 of the United States. Today I'm going to be visiting the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the Cape Islands, which is the official name for Massachusetts, named originally for the indigenous people that used to inhabit the area. It became the sixth state admitted into the Union on February 6, 1788. Now, Massachusetts has several popular nicknames, those being the Bay State, the Old Colony State, but the one most important to us is it's sometimes referred to as the Baked Bean State, and that's exactly what I'm going to be making today. For our Boston baked beans, we are going to need 2 cups of dried beans, preferably a small white bean, such as these. These are my navy beans. I've gone ahead and soaked these overnight, covered in water with 1 tablespoon of salt added into it. I did go ahead and rinse and drain them this morning and remove any broken or discolored beans from the pot. I'll also need 1 whole onion cut in half, 3 cloves of garlic that I've lightly crushed, 2 carrots that I've just peeled and then cut in half. Later we will need 1 onion that I've diced, half of a pound of bacon, actually preferably salt pork, but I wasn't able to get any, so I'm substituting it with thick cut bacon that I've cut into roughly 1/2 inch to 1 inch squares. We'll also need 2 teaspoons of Dijon or brown mustard, 1 teaspoon of black pepper plus 1 bay leaf, some salt. I'm not using all that salt, I just got a big handful of it out. Half of a cup of molasses. We'll need water to cover our beans with, and then at the end, if they're a little bit on the sweet side, we're going to tone that down with some optional apple cider vinegar. These are all our ingredients, so let's go ahead and start getting our beans assembled. Here at the stove in my pot, I've already gone ahead and added my beans, to which I'm going to add my 3 cloves of crushed garlic, my carrots, and my onion. And those are just going to sit there. We're going to discard these later after these beans have cooked for about 45 minutes or until they are completely tender. I'm going to cover them with 4 cups of water. That looks like they are just barely covered, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to be putting a lid on this, and again, like I said, these are going to be simmering here on the stove for about 45 minutes or until they become tender all the way through the bean. And one more thing while I'm thinking about it is I am going to go ahead and add a big healthy pinch of salt at this time. Now, while I don't normally salt my beans at this stage, I find that they end up making a tougher bean. These beans are going to be cooking for a very long time, and they're definitely going to need the salt added in at this stage. Alright guys, I'll see you in roughly 45 minutes. The beans have been cooking for about 40 minutes, so I want to go ahead and move on and start cooking my bacon. Now, I've gone ahead and added my bacon pieces into my cold pan. I'm going to allow this to gently heat up and all come to temperature at the same time. This will just allow that bacon fat to render out a little bit more evenly. And then once this is cooked for about, I don't know, 3 to 4 minutes, I just want them lightly brown, not cooked completely through, I'm going to add in my onions. At this point, the beans have been going for 45 minutes, and I want to go ahead and remove my aromatics while I'm waiting on my bacon to brown up. These have already done their job, and we don't need them anymore. Now that I have all the aromatics removed from the pot, I'm going to go ahead and take this over to the sink and drain off all this remaining liquid. Though I do want to reserve all of that. We're going to be using that to make our baked beans. As soon as some of your bacon starts getting just a little bit of color on it, it's time to go ahead and add in our onions. And I'm going to cook these for about 6 to 7 minutes, or just until they start turning lightly brown. While I'm waiting on the onions to brown up, I want to go ahead and mix up my molasses mixture, which is our 1/2 cup of molasses, our 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, the 1 tablespoon of black pepper, or teaspoon, I'm sorry, 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Good gravy, that would be way too much. And then I'm going to use just enough liquid to bring this up to 2 cups. I've also gone ahead and started heating up my oven to 325 degrees. Continue stirring your molasses mixture until the molasses is completely dissolved into our reserved bean water. And now I'm going to go ahead and continue topping this all the way up to 2 cups. After about 6 minutes of cooking, my onions are tender and they have just started to get a little bit golden brown on the edges. So at this time I'm going to go ahead and turn off my heat and add in my beans and my molasses mixture. I want to give this a really good pinch of salt. And then I'm going to stir these to make sure they're all coated in our molasses mixture. And since my water or my molasses mixture isn't covering the top of my beans, I'm going to go ahead and top this off with a little bit more of my reserved cooking liquid. And I want just enough until the liquid reaches just to the top of those beans. Actually, I don't have much left over, so I'm going to go ahead and add all that in. And last but not least, we're going to add in our 1 bay leaf. And now these are going to go into the oven uncovered for 4 hours on 325 degrees. About once or twice an hour, I'm going to come over and check the beans, make sure they are staying topped off with our liquid. We don't want these to dry out too soon. Alright guys, I'll see you when I get closer to finishing these beans. After about 3 hours, your beans should look like this. Now I've topped them off with water for the very last time. I checked them about every half hour and it seemed like about every hour I needed to go in and just kind of top off that water level. You want to keep your beans fully submerged with just a very thin layer of water over them just to prevent them from drying out and breaking apart. Now I've not stirred the beans until about 2 hours and 45 minutes into it. I went ahead and gave them 1 stir and then I've just finished stirring them for the final time. These are going to go back in the oven for an additional 1 hour, still on 325, where they're going to cook without being topped off with water until they're done. So about another hour, guys, and then we can try these out. I've gone ahead and removed the Boston baked beans from the oven after the 4 hours were up, and I did test it and adjust it for seasoning. I've removed the bay leaf. Didn't need to add any more salt and pepper, but I did go ahead and add that little splash of apple cider vinegar, which is totally optional, but it does really help balance out all the sweetness and the flavors that we've added into our baked beans. Alright guys, let's get in here and try this out. I've been smelling it all afternoon, and I have to say, my house smells incredible. Wow, I have to say, these have got to be the best baked beans I have ever tried. I'm not really a huge lover of the canned baked beans, and I don't often have time to make them from scratch, but boy am I really glad that I did this time. I will definitely be making these again in the future. Well, that is going to be it for me for the day. If y'all have enjoyed this video, leave me a comment down below. If you tried this recipe out, let me know how it turned out for you. Be sure to check out the link down in the description to the playlist where you can see what Pixel made yesterday for the state of California. And until next month, thank you all so very much for joining me today. I've been Volker. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.